Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about understanding the fundamentals of nonverbal communication, getting familiar with your own body language patterns, and kissing your way to an even better relationship. But before we jump into that, what's been fueling you up this week, Sammy?
I had a very big week.
Yeah.
A very, very big week. I had annual planning for Fuel Collective.
Yeah.
I had annual planning for the business that I work in.
Yeah.
And then I had quarterly planning for my other business that I co-founded. And we had our wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Which included 2 different dates.
Yeah, 2 really great dates. So
Yeah.
my future tank is overflowing with plans and ideas, and the future is created by us. It's not waiting for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
I feel very much like got ideas and things
You've
flowing.
got all these things buzzing in
Yeah.
your head now, ready to execute on.
Yeah, and how they all fit together. But the thing that fueled me up most was celebrating our 9th wedding anniversary.
Yeah, it was really nice, and that was going to be my fuel up as well.
Well, you take it.
So on the actual day of our anniversary, you had one of those annual planning days. So you had a pretty intense day. So we just did a kind of more low-key dinner at home. But I went and did a big seafood shop and made a delicious seafood platter, which was really nice. And just spent some time with you and hung out that evening. But because that was a little bit more low-key, we wanted to do something more special on the weekend. So we went on Glass Island and went for a cruise around the harbour on Saturday night.
Yeah, we did. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really amazing fun.
We had the best weather.
Yeah.
Perfect amount of sun, breeze, sunset. Lovely.
Yeah, and really nice to get out dancing again too.
Yeah, and outdoor dancing.
Yeah, out on the harbour. So it was just, really nice to spend some quality time with you outside of our house.
Yeah, amazing. So as we round out this year, 2021, if you haven't already, we totally encourage you, we're a little bit biased, to go and do your planning for 2022. Carve out some time together or on your own to go and set some goals for next year, set some intentions. For us, it works really well to have done it like sort of before we go into the break period, but do it over your break. Take a little bit of time and figure out what's important to you and what you really want to focus on next year. If you need a little bit of help with a framework or a checklist, or you want some conversational prompts, head on over and grab ours. You can get it at fuelcollective.com.au/AGP. And that's our annual game plan. It's got all the checklists, agenda, everything that you need to make a really awesome plan for next year.
Yeah. We just need to put ours on a poster and stick it up, and we're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, got some good stuff on the cards for next year.
Yeah, we do. But now, here's this week's guest.
Welcome to the Date Forever podcast, everyone. Today we've got Katia Loisel joining us. She is a relationship and body language expert, host of French Kiss, Mastering the Kiss, the body language of love and dating, and founder and CEO of Love Destination, a global streaming channel dedicated to everything love, dating, and relationships. They stream expert masterclasses, films, and documentaries that help you create fulfilling relationships with yourself and others. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super, super excited.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get so submerged in this relationship space?
You know what? My story is actually quite an interesting one. I think that a lot of people, when they meet me or chat to me, they just assume sometimes, without knowing your background, that you've always been in this space or you've always loved connecting with people. But actually, for me, I've always loved connecting with people, but I was what I would have called a really, really shy extrovert. I loved people. I desperately wanted to connect. I wanted people to like me. But for a really long time in my childhood, in my teens, even in my early 20s, I found it really hard to connect with people. I had what a lot of people have, and a lot of reasons for people sabotaging their relationships or not, sabotaging their lives, not going full out, is I had a belief that for some reason I wasn't worthy. that I wasn't good enough. Why would anyone love me? I'm only 4'11", too short, all these a million reasons, ridiculous reasons. But actually, it really affected the way that I interacted with people. And I had no idea of how I came across. And then someone one day in my early 20s basically told me that I came across as being a snob and really aloof. And I was just gutted, heartbroken. I can't even, have you ever had that experience, guys, where, you have a wake-up call, I guess, and something makes you see the reality of a situation, whether it be about yourself or about your relationship, where you hadn't seen your part in it, you hadn't taken responsibility, or even, I couldn't even comprehend the idea it had anything to do with me. But it was the biggest gift and a huge wake-up call. And it really made me change my life completely, get submerged into psychology, studied psychology and behavioral science. And since then, I've been working with people, worked with thousands of singles and couples, worked with people in nonverbal communication, really understanding, how our nonverbal communication affects not just those around you, not just how you feel, but also how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, how you feel about the world around you, how you interact, and, as well, how people treat you in return. So that's how I got started. And I'd, always worked in media, and then the two joined together and boom, boom.
Here you are. Hey, so have you ever gone and told that person that feedback changed your life?
I grew up in Perth, and they weren't a close friend. They were just an acquaintance. So no, it took me a really long time to actually, first, to be honest, I don't know if you've ever had anyone tell you something, a home truth about yourself, but, don't shoot the messenger. There's a reason they say that. Because I was pretty upset and pretty angry. I don't know if that's the right word.
How dare you think I'm a snob?
Excuse me? And it was mortifying. I was mortified. I was heartbroken. And so definitely at that stage in my life, I was nowhere near being able to say thank you. Thank you. What? But definitely in hindsight, if I ever had the opportunity to meet them, I'd give them a massive hug. To me, I truly believe, my mission is love. I'm a big believer that love can literally change the world, creating ripple effects that change not only you as a person, not only your partner, not only your family, your friends, but that kindness, that love, that loving yourself and loving others, it actually changes everything. It changes every aspect of your life. And so for me, I was given a gift, and so I've made it my mission, I guess, my purpose to actually, help people create more empowering relationships with themselves and others, because the truth is a lot of us are really lonely. Even when we're in a relationship, a lot of people are really lonely. They're not truly connecting. They're not truly being vulnerable and putting it on the line because we're scared, right? Even in a committed relationship, there's parts of ourselves that are a bit shameful maybe, or we don't really want to, here it is. There's a lot, but with vulnerability comes great connection and love, and not just surface love, but the love that comes from allowing yourself to be yourself and knowing that you've been truly heard and accepted as you are. And I think we need more of that in the world. That's just me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Katia, now that you know a lot more about human behavior and body language, can you reflectively look back at some of the body language that you're exhibiting at that time and understand why you were being interpreted that way?
Absolutely. And this is the interesting thing, and I talk to a lot of when I do coaching or when I do TV series on body language or masterclasses. At the end of the day, when we're in an emotionally heightened situation like I was, and we've, got the negative internal dialogue going, you're too this, you're too that, insert your own internal dialogue here, we tend to withdraw, we retreat, right? And so there are a lot of nonverbal ways that comes out. And it's not the same for everyone. We all have our different, I guess, ways in which we deal with stress and anxiety and negative emotional arousal. But for a lot of people, it's withdrawal. For me, it was withdrawal. So avoiding of eye contact, closed body language, ducking of the head, like turtling of the neck. I was so stiff and tense. I wasn't open to connection. I wasn't saying, here, come and talk to me. I was literally saying, please don't look at me, stay away, you know. And the thing about nonverbal communication is during every interaction, we send out thousands of stimuli, you know, body language, facial expressions, gestures, paralanguage, or the way we speak, the way we breathe even, that sends a really clear message about who we are and how we feel. The thing is that a lot of the time that those messages can be misinterpreted, I guess, because we filter all the information around us, as you probably know, through our own experiences, our own beliefs, our own hopes, dreams, desires, childhood trauma even. And we're also pre-wired to look, you know, survival mode, to look for the negative. And so often what is somebody saying, I feel unworthy, I'm vulnerable, and I don't know how to be in this space. I don't know how to be connected. Often what that comes across as is stay away. And so we can really be our own worst enemies, because as human beings, we're pre-wired to connect, right? We want to connect. We want to be loved. We want to love. It's what we're born to do. But at the same time, that innate fear of rejection, which actually, you know, from an evolutionary perspective, kept us safe and stopped us from, you know, leaving our tribe so we wouldn't die, actually can sometimes actually get in the way of us connecting, of us being vulnerable, of us saying, let's connect, because deep down where it's like, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. This was me. Please don't hurt me. Not quite to that point. But yeah, so I can definitely see why they said that. And it's an issue that a lot of people have. And even the most confident person can withdraw in certain situations if they see somebody who's completely out of their league, or if they're in a relationship in those first few years and things aren't quite right, or they feel that their partner isn't meeting them in terms of commitment, and they start to doubt themselves, they start to doubt their value, they start to doubt what they bring to their relationships, they start to doubt their partner's intentions, whether, you know, their partner is actually invested in them. That can bring out that fear of rejection, that fear of abandonment. And that can either bring out, help me, come, love me, that clasping at me, please love me, I'm all over you, I want to be with you 24 hours of the day. Or the opposite of that, a withdrawal into oneself, where you shut down, you shut off from your emotions, you shut off from your partner. And really, you shut off from the relationship because you're scared to go deep, because you're scared of what happens if you do. If you asking for more gets met with, you know, bye.
So, Katia, you've kind of mentioned a few of the things that or the way that we express body language. So what are kind of the fundamental building blocks, or what are the main ways that we can actually express body language?
Well, the thing is about body language, it's innate, right? Nonverbal communication is our first language. You know, have you guys got any babies in your life?
We do. Not
of our own,
and all of our friends have babies.
I think I heard your podcast, Sammy, and you were saying that your friend had just recently had a baby, right? And so if we
another baby,
third baby, or fourth, I don't know. That's a lot of babies. So if we think about the children that we know in our lives, whether it's your own, whether it's your friends, whether it's your besties, think about how they communicate. How do they give love? How do they receive love? How do they ask for food? It's nonverbal. It's through, you know, guttural noises. It's through paralanguage. It's, you know, as they get older, it's obviously then when we're verbal, paralanguage is, you know, the speed, tone, volume, all of that sort of thing as well. But it's through our facial expressions. And we have these amazing mirror neuron network, which basically helps us to connect with our partner, with those around us. So basically if you watch children, for example, if we're talking about body language from the foundation of body language, when their mother looks upset, all of a sudden they'll start to cry. When their mother smiles, you know, see those YouTube videos where the mum smiles and they go, and the mum cries and ooh, you know, because these amazing mirror neurons mean subconsciously we mimic those around us. And when we mimic those around us, there's this process called embodied cognition, which means that our thoughts, our emotions, our body language, and our facial expressions, breathing and gestures are all linked. So when you change one, you change the other. So obviously if you feel sad, you start thinking negative thoughts and your body language tends to slump, you know. if you're feeling happy, then all of a sudden you're bright and energetic, and you've got a smile on your face is open, and of course smiling is contagious. So everyone around you also is feeling amazing. You've got that beautiful dopamine and serotonin hit. And so the thing about body language is that it is, and facial expressions is that it is innate. There are no foundations because it's who we are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It is the expression of ourselves. It's the way that we connect with other people. But I guess in terms of relationships, like if you're in those early first few years of relationships, your nonverbal communication, so your body language, your facial expressions, your gestures, your paralanguage, that actually they're directly connected to your emotional brain, where love and lust and passion and all that sort of amazing stuff is connected. But during every interaction with our partner, they are sending us information through their nonverbal communication. Sometimes these silent messages, sometimes it's just information about how they're feeling. Sometimes we or they are pleading with us. Those messages are pleading about what it is that they need from the relationship. But the truth is, once you're past that 6 month or a year stage, most of us tend to start ignoring them. In the early stages of love, what were you guys like when you first?
We were teenagers, so I'm not. Well, no, were we teenagers? Yeah, just still teenagers.
Yeah.
Still teenagers.
So tell me, just to put it into context, when you first started dating, not met each other, but when you first started actually dating in those courtship stages, how attuned were you to each other's body language, facial expressions, movements? Like, did you notice every little thing, every little movement of the lips, every little touch, everything?
Oh, I don't know. It feels like a long way to go back. But I do know that we'd probably been dating for like 5 or 6 years, and we were out with a group of friends who were all like, there was lots of mutual friends. So not everybody knew each other, but everybody knew someone else at this get together. And I remember Nath came up to me and was like, hey, the funniest thing just happened. A guy over there was like, oh my God, that chick's so into you. Like, you're going to be able to pick her up tonight and take her home. And he was like, yeah, I've been dating her for 5 years. Like, so there's clearly something about our body language that indicates that we're into each other even then. So, and I feel like our body language is still incredibly affectionate and playful.
Yeah, I think so.
And
it is too.
high physical touch. But in terms of observing each other's body language, I know that there's definitely some mannerisms, and I probably notice it more now, Nath, when I see you and your dad together in the same place. Yeah, that you and your dad have very similar like body movements and just behavioral mannerisms.
Isn't it just interesting? And going back, and it's great that you say, and I can see in the way that you relate to each other, that you still have a lot of the characteristics of early love, early lust, early infatuation, which is amazing. So if you're in a relationship and you're a few years in and things are starting to go, when the dopamine and serotonin and phenylethylamine starts to wind down, it can feel like a different relationship sometimes. But that's normal. There are different stages of love, and the early stage is not love. It is infatuation, it's lust, it's, courtship. But what's really interesting is, like, in those early stages, and this is something that I see with you, when we're attracted to someone in those early stages, we have increased proximity, so we get closer. We have any excuse to get closer. And we have this orientating reflex. So basically our torso moves closer. Our torso moves closer to people that we're interested in, not just romantically, but when we're interested, our body subconsciously moves closer. There's an increase in touch, so touching them, touching ourselves as well, because when we're attracted to somebody, we get an increase in blood flow, so our lips start to get a little bit tingly, our face gets tingly, and also if we're thinking about perhaps wanting to kiss someone and we have kissing on the mind, then obviously our erogenous zones are being pumped full of blood, and so we get a lot of autoerotic touching, a lot of self-touch. We also get a lot of increased eye contact, which I see a lot with you guys. So you're constantly reconnecting. It's beautiful, constantly coming back to one another. And eye contact is I mean, they say it's the glue that binds, right? And it really is, because not only does it send this beautiful subconscious signal to your brain that, yes, I'm attracted to you, it releases phenylethylamine, it makes us feel good. That combined with, beautiful touch and oxytocin boost, the sort of behaviors that you're displaying now, if you're in a relationship.
You have to tell everyone what you're seeing, because they'll be listening and be like, what are they doing?
Okay, so what I'm saying is just, obviously you're sitting very close, and obviously for the Zoom camera, but let's just say very close, but also, you can sit close to somebody but not be sort of leaning into them. You're constantly referring to each other, making eye contact, even though, to be honest, the way that you're sitting makes that quite difficult.
It does.
And when you're referring to each other, it's not just a fake smile. Your whole, the eyes are crinkling on the sides of your eyes are crinkling. Your whole face, I mean, it's making me happy just watching you. Your whole face is lighting up. Clearly, even the sound of your partner's voice is making you happy. And sound is an amazing thing. Smell is an amazing thing. But you clearly have this connection. And this is the thing that we have to work at, right? The truth is that our nonverbal communication, our memories are ingrained in our nonverbal communication. So if things are starting to wane in your relationship, simply by changing your body language, holding eye contact, touching, even if it's literally 30 seconds a day of just choosing your partner, choosing to invest in them, choosing to slow down, invest in the relationship, choosing to be aware, like you were in the beginning of, when you're in early stages of love, anything your partner needs, you're on track. Are you okay? How are you feeling? Can I get you a cup of tea? You can see when they're not feeling right, or when they're a bit upset, or when they're tired, because you're paying attention to their face.
Yeah, you are.
And because you're paying attention, and it's like intentional attention, you're choosing to pay attention. You are maybe hyper aware of everything your partner is doing. You're actually feeling part of what they're feeling, because the mirror neurons are subconsciously mimicking them. As the relationship goes on, sometimes we're basically, sometimes we've just had enough. We've seen them too much, particularly during lockdown. It's like, I can't see your face anymore. Too much togetherness. My partner and I, we work, we live together, and we work together. And we're together 24/7. And sometimes there is such a thing as too much togetherness. It's like, I can't see your face right now, just go away. But by choosing that intentional attention, choosing to reconnect, and choosing to slow down and use things like increased proximity, increased eye contact, increased touch, what you're going to do is, firstly, you're going to give yourself a nice chemical cocktail boost, like you did in the early stages of attraction. You're going to release dopamine and serotonin, or norepinephrine, phenylethylamine, and oxytocin. That's going to make you feel more attracted, more connected, more in love. It's going to make you slow down and pay more attention to your partner, and create like this safe space. So when you feel like your partner has actually slowed down and is listening to you, and you can see that they're present and they're listening, and you can feel it with everything, because they are present with you. And you can tell when we're in sync, when we're actually slowed down and we're in sync with our partner, our brain waves sync up, our heart waves sync up, even our hormone levels sync up, But often we get so busy and we're running around that we don't actually stop to connect. And so when we actually make it even 30 seconds of our day, just stop. Let's just sit down and have a smooch. Have a smooch and have a chat, but eye-to-eye gaze, eye-to-eye contact. We're helping to rebuild the relationship. We're helping, I guess, to set up the foundation. And we're reminding our body, through our body language, of those memories. So research tells us that when we have sort of closed off body language, which a lot of people in long-term relationships do from their partner, rather than being open and towards them, connecting with them, and really open in terms of eye contact, gaze, touch and proximity. Sometimes people can lead almost two separate lives, right?
Yeah.
And that affects our memories. So research tells us when we're closed off, we're actually more likely to remember negative memories. And when we're open and we have the power pose, or we're open and connected, we're more likely to remember positive memories. So if you can even just 30 seconds a day reconnect like it was in those early stages, eye contact, touch, caress of the face, really, really close, and just remind them that you love them, to remind them what it is you love about them. You're creating a space for these memories. It's almost like recreating and, keeping that love alive, fueling that desire, if you like, just by taking a little bit of time out to just slow things down and reconnect on a non-verbal level.
Yeah, I love that. So how do we actually go about then kind of doing a self-check on ourselves and understanding the message that we are putting out through our body language?
And, that's a really, really good question. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And for the listeners out there, this is something that you should do for yourself. So this is the thing. We don't know what we don't know. A lot of us are like horses with their blinkers on. You see straight ahead.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're in a situation where it's an emotionally intensive situation, or you're anxious, or you're stressed, or you're nervous, or you feel like you're way out of your comfort zone, or something is not going well in your relationship, we can go into limbic arousal. We get tunnel vision, which makes it really hard to connect with our partner because, we're basically going to survival mode. So, everything else goes out the window and we're just like, fight and flight. So my first question is, what do you do in different situations? So the first step to understanding, and I guess not only understanding yourself, but understanding other people. And the more you know about yourself, the easier it will be for you to read your partner. Because rather than saying, oh, they're just in a bad mood, you will be able to recognize that actually that's anxiety or that's fear under there, because you will recognize that as the way that you react in different situations. But a lot of us are really numb to what we do. We wouldn't have a clue. So it's really good so I'll ask you, so how do you react when you're nervous? Both of you, what do you do?
I fidget.
Fidget. What else?
Fidget and, probably pull away as well.
Okay, pull away. And what about breathing? Would it be short or shallow or deep, fast?
Probably fast and shallow.
Fast and shallow. Eye contact. Increased eye contact, staring, looking away, or darting around?
Definitely not focused. It'd be darting around, looking away, looking anywhere else. Yeah.
And what about your body? Would it be open or closed? Would you use arm and leg barriers? So lock your feet, lock your legs, lock your arms. Would you have barriers? Would you put like a glass here so nobody would get close to you?
Pretty much all of those things, very closed.
And what about sort of self-lubricating, so pacifying gestures, so swallowing, lip licking, moving your tongue around the inside of your mouth to lubricate? When we're really nervous, often the saliva in our mouth dries up, which means we see a lot of swallowing, self-lubrication. Do you see any of those sorts of things?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And what about you?
Can I just add one that he has not mentioned? What you do when you're super anxious or uncomfortable or like just in discomfort of some sort, you smile.
Oh, yeah.
And
I do.
like we'll be having like a conversation that's quite heated or intense or conflict like is happening, and he'll be smiling and I'll be like, no.
That drives you crazy?
A little bit. It's like, it's just but it's definitely like a nervous, uncomfortable response.
And a smile is one of the easiest facial expressions to fake. And so often when people, often we can exhibit real and fake facial expressions at the same time. So our face is quite an amazing canvas, if you like. And often our real expression is very quick and fleeting. Real expressions smiles don't really last like this for a really long time. Apart from when somebody's really annoyed with you, in which I guess I just shut up. But in reality, when we're trying to hide facial expressions or hide our true emotions, or we're ashamed of our true emotions, or whatever it is, we'll see micro expressions. So there'll be really, really fleeting expressions, fraction of a second. And it's those expressions like the little sneer or a fear brow that indicate what's going on, or maybe a slight quivering of the lip. That's very, very quick that we don't notice that maybe, often when people are angry, for example, it's because they're feeling overwhelmed or they're feeling sad or they're, feeling a whole array of things. There's something under that often. And so for us, it's about looking a little bit deeper. And what about you? What do you do?
Mine would definitely be lots of movement. Anxious, would definitely be like, touching things. I wouldn't say it's like fidgeting. Like Nath would be much more like a single body part shaking or playing with one thing in hands, whereas mine would be lots of movement and not standing still, not staying in the same even like physical space, like moving between rooms and things like that. I think I've done quite a lot of work on my breath and breathing, and I'm very aware when it starts to get shallow. And it'll be like not common, but I will say to Nath regularly, like, oh, I feel like I haven't been breathing properly. And then I can reflect on that and go, well, I have actually been quite stressed or quite, anticipating something. And that I can feel that, my breath is not as deep as it really should be, or where I want it to be.
And breath is really interesting because breath is also obviously related to our emotions and related to our nonverbal communication. So sometimes just by stopping and breathing, we help ourselves to reduce anxiety. We stimulate the parasympathetic system, which helps to, give us a little bit of an oxygen boost, calm our thoughts. And that then changes what we're thinking. It helps us to, as soon as we start breathing, we change our body language. It's very hard to breathe from a closed off body language because then you've got limited lung capacity. So the second you make the decision to breathe, you're opening up, right? Because it's very, very hard to be breathing down here. And so breath is a really great one. It's a really great way to stay connected to your body and also to your partner, because sometimes you might notice when you're actually tuned in and paying attention to yourself, you'll become more aware of your partner, and you'll see the times when sometimes they're not breathing at all. It's like, and it's like, just breathe, just breathe. And by doing that, you're helping them to regulate their emotions as well. And you're also showing them, I guess, that I've got you, I'm paying attention. Because I think that, and, there are a lot of reasons why relationships break, but a big one is that people they don't feel seen. They don't feel understood. They don't feel acknowledged. They don't feel validated in their relationship. And by actually slowing down and paying attention to yourself, it's like, I always talk about, obviously, and so do you guys, dating yourself. And part of that sort of loving your partner is also loving yourself and being in tune with yourself, because it's actually in being connected with you that you're actually able to better understand them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second we become numb in ourselves, we have no hope of understanding our partner non-verbally, because we can't, if you're numb to you, and I get that, after I separated from my ex-husband, I was in survival mode. I was numb for years, absolutely numb. And in that state, yes, I was able to cut out some of the pain, but also I cut out a lot of the positive emotions as well. It affected my ability to connect with people because I was cut off. And so I think it's about taking that sort of personal responsibility. So back to your question, Nate. So the questions to ask yourself at home is, what do I do when I'm anxious? What do I do when I meet someone for the first time? What do I do when I'm really attracted? What do I do when I am just content? What does it feel like in my body? What does my partner do? What is it? How did they react in different situations? So you build up this awareness of what you're doing, what you do, when you do it, and why you do it. And I almost say, it's a bit embarrassing, but I say, if you're at home, just actually go through those nonverbal communication. So the facial expressions, the body language, the breathing, and really exaggerate it. Like, you look like a crazy person.
We've done this.
Right?
We've done this exercise.
Yes. Really exaggerate it, because then you're getting a muscular memory, and talk it through. Talk it so you hear the paralanguage, so you hear the tone of your voice, the pitch of your voice. Your voice is directly connected to your emotional brain. So it's a really great indicator of emotion. So here, what does your voice sound like? Is it thin? How is your breath affecting? And so really go through and really exaggerate it, because then you're getting the muscular memory, even if you have to do it in the mirror, visual memory, the auditory memory. And then the next time that your body goes into this mode, particularly if you're in survival mode or your partner does, you'll be able to recognize it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to feel it, and then you'll be able to change it, maybe just by changing your posture, changing your breathing, giving yourself a pep talk. I've got this. I'm okay. Whatever it is, whichever one of those, they're all going to affect the other. So it doesn't matter which one you do. Sometimes body language is quicker than changing your thoughts, because it can be
that. And that was That was the exercise, and that was why we were doing it, is we were learning about managing state. And that if you're in a low or depressed or unhappy or a state that you don't want to stay in, learning what your body needs to feel to step away from that state and into a better psychological state. But yeah, it's amazing how your physiology, even just, rolling your shoulders back or making your neck a little bit longer or realigning where your hips are.
Lifting your chin up and sticking your pecs out.
Spread nipples forward rather than at the ground.
But it also affects us on a biochemical level. So, just by pulling your shoulders back, lifting your chin, smiling, the power pose, basically, that's going to release testosterone. It's going to decrease cortisol. It makes us more likely to take risks. By the same token, when we shut down, when we close off, when we cross our arms and legs, duck our head, duck our chin, hunch our shoulders, that increases cortisol. So it increases the stress hormone and it decreases testosterone. So it makes us feel more helpless, more hopeless. And as I said before, it makes us more likely to remember negative memories. So if you're having a tough time with your partner and all of a sudden you're, scrunched up in a ball saying, I hate my life, you're going to think it's going to make it easier for you to remember all those terrible experiences you had with your partner.
Even just like the turning towards them on the couch or in bed rather than away from. And that, if you're
But it's making a conscious decision. I think that we get into complacency, get into a habitual thing where we don't. So think about one suggestion I have, I can't get my words out, is to almost recreate like your first date. And one of the reasons to do that is, obviously it's a bit fun to do, but one of the reasons to do that is you are reminding yourself of what your body language was like then. So so just say we're going to completely so I met you, I was shy, you were really cute, and then we talked, and then I did this, and we came in close, and we looked. So you're actually going through you're re-courting your partner. You're going through and reminiscing about how you met, what you love about your partner, your relationship, your early stages of love. That helps to build attraction. It helps to build connection. It helps to mend wounds. It helps you to reconnect, because sometimes we lose our way, even with somebody we really love, or we get complacent, or might have had lockdown for a long time, depending on where you live. Some countries have had it for a really long time, and you can't stand the sight of them anymore. That's the truth, right? In every relationship, there will be a stage where you hit a traffic jam, no matter how good your relationship is, where you become disillusioned with your partner in the relationship, because we change. Relationships are about change. It's a journey. We don't stay the same, nor does our partner. And so we have two different people with different experiences, different attachment styles, different, trauma backgrounds, different hopes, different expectations, everything coming together. And that can be challenging. It can be really confronting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you one of the things that you mentioned about taking 30 seconds to connect each day, really be present. Or more. was about having a really good smooch or a kiss. And you are the host of French Kiss, Mastering the Kiss. So what's the perfect kiss?
Well, I would say, firstly, just to start, kissing is underrated in long-term relationships. If you've been together for a few years, now let me ask you, firstly, do you kiss as often as you did at the beginning?
I think we do.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not quite as much, but we definitely kiss a lot.
Do you want more? Do you want more? Is that what you're telling me by that? Wait.
We had such a cute moment this morning because I was on a conference this morning for 4 hours or something, and Nate came in and brought me a juice. And then I pulled him back and we had this big pash. And then after he left, I realized that we were on Zoom, that my camera was on, and everybody in the conference would have seen this very smushy, what I thought was private kiss.
The thing about kissing is it activates all 5 of our senses and sends a direct message to the emotional brain or limbic area of our brain associated with love and lust and passion, as well as releasing serotonin, oxytocin, phenylethylamine, dopamine. So it makes us feel amazing, triggers the dopamine center of our brain, makes us a bit addicted to our partner. It's all delicious. But as we go forward, then we often a lot of partners don't even kiss for more than 5 seconds, which is not a very long time. 5 seconds a week. A goodbye and a hello kiss is really important. It really helps. Yeah. Even, some people don't like PDA, so that's fine. But in terms of the perfect kiss, really, I mean, what is a kiss if not an opportunity to slow down and truly connect? When you're kissing, the whole world fades away, right? Like time literally stands still. If you remember maybe your first kiss, sometimes it can be awkward, I know, but often it's almost as if the rest of the world just doesn't exist anymore. So really, at the core of it, it's about, building anticipation, building the excitement. Yes, sometimes a hot and heavy pash is fantastic, but really it's an opportunity to reconnect, to build desire in a relationship, to really use all of your senses. So eye contact, touch, to caress one another, to explore each other's faces and bodies, to touch each other's lips before you go in for that kiss, to gently kiss their face before you go in for that kiss. So it's about really using all of your senses, stimulating their erogenous zones, exploring your partner's face and body. What do they like? Everyone is different. Some people like to have their ears nibbled. Other people really, really don't like it. Other people really love to have their tops of their head kissed because it makes them feel really nurtured. So it's about really taking your time to get to know your partner. And then, of course, mixing it up between, hot and heavy and slow and tender. Now, for the men out there, I would let you know that research tells us that men and women have different pre-wired preferences for kissing. So women tend to place more value on kissing because from an evolutionary perspective, it has been said, or one of the theories out there is that kissing gives us information about our partner, about our genetic compatibility, about overall health. When we kiss, we release chemicals mixed in with our saliva. Our cheeks, inside of our cheeks are permeable, goes into our bloodstream. So it gives us all of this information about our partner, even how committed they might be to the relationship, whether they are slow and tender, they always go straight in for a pash with little of anything else, which might mean that short term is on the cards. And so really, it's about really, really taking the time to connect. But men have a preference for lots of tongue and lots of saliva in general, not all men. And from an evolutionary perspective, the theory is that when we kiss, it releases a little bit of testosterone into the saliva, which over time can increase desire. And so it's about really listening to your partner. The way, obviously not your first kiss, because a lot of men in particular, the first kiss is very bad. But in general, the way someone kisses us is the way they'd like to be kissed. So if someone is always kissing you all over your face or gently licking your lips, then guess what? They want from you. They want you to kiss them all over their face. If they're always going in and trying to kiss the nape of your neck and down your neck, then guess what? That's what they want from you. Now, you might hate that. You might think, oh, I really don't like it when you do that. But just because you don't like it, they're giving you the blueprint, if you like, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's about listening. You'd be surprised how many people I've spoken to that they're like, oh, my partner does this thing and I really hate it. And I'm like, so what do you do back? Oh, yeah, I just let it go. And I'm like, no, but they're telling you what they want. If you
placing an order.
You're placing an order. If you do that to them, then hello, baby, it's ready to rock and roll.
So we're kissing more and we're perving on each other and our body language more. We're turning towards each other more. And what else? What's one of the, maybe from your own relationship, what is one of the things that you do to keep it fueled up?
Well, I guess, something I mentioned before is about dating yourself. And I think that, if you've been in a relationship for a while, my partner and I, we work together. So we film. We love film, love media. And so that's something that we love, but it also can create a little bit of conflict. So one thing that I've sort of have thought about along the way is the idea of, when I say dating, dating yourself, I sort of write a list of what do I want to do? Because in a relationship, it's easy to get lost in the relationship. And really, sort of get away from who you are, your passions, your interests, your purpose in life. And when you get away from that, then eventually you can get to a point where you feel like you've got a crisis of identity and you don't know who you are in the relationship anymore. So one thing I love to do is trapezing, for example. And so I think I want to do trapezing, but I'm going to buy 2 tickets and hopefully my partner will come along with me. I want to go to this Airbnb and hopefully they'll come. But if not, then it's something that I'm going to do on my own. I wanted to do salsa again and, but I was going to do it on my own anyway. But would you like to come along with me? So I'm inviting my partner into my world. And when you do things and you date yourself and you do things that make your heart sing, then you are a more attractive, more engaging, more open, more vibrant person. When you are doing things and living a life that makes your heart sing, you're more likely to be attuned and open to your partner and have time to listen to them because you're not resentful of them for taking away your life, because you have a life, because you are choosing to invest in you. If you don't choose to invest in you, I think it's really, I won't say impossible to invest in a relationship, but how can you love someone if you're not giving yourself anything? Because eventually it's going to turn into resentment. It has to. And so that's what I like to do. So, write a list of all the crazy things that you want to do that your partners, and also things like, for example, trapezing. The first time I went trapezing, let me tell you, I cried so much. I had snot coming from my nose. I went with my friends and I was up the top there and I was petrified. But I thought I absolutely nearly died from fear. But I thought life is scary. And, I wanted to remind myself that, yes, it's scary the first time and then you get up and I want more. When we do things as well that are novel or outside of our comfort zone, then that gives us an adrenaline boost, releases phenylethylamine, that heightens attraction between us. And because as well we are, more energized, more open, we're the best version of ourselves when we're doing something fun and we're doing it together, it creates this beautiful memory, and as well as a muscular memory, a non-verbal memory that we can then go back to just by saying, remember that time? I remember how scared you were. Then all of a sudden, you're going to have this amazing connection and something that they may never have done on their own. So I guess it's inviting your partner into what makes your heart sing without any expectations of whether they go or not, knowing that you just actually want to do this for you, but opening the doors to say, it's better, more fun with 2.
I really like that. It's like, I want to go do this fun thing and I'm going to go and do this fun thing. Would you like to come with me?
What's your one thing?
Well, I've got lots, but I like things that are creative. So one of the dates that I took Nath on recently was a paint and sip class.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And I like experiential things. Yeah, things that are like trapezing has been on my list for a long time. I actually had a red balloon voucher. Yeah, I had a red balloon voucher that unfortunately then COVID. Yeah, but so that's on my list too. But we, at the start of this year, we wrote a big long list of things that are less common, not let's go for dinner, but more experiential, take this very specific hike or things. So I always love it when we do things that we've not done before. And that's been a big part of our lives and our relationship together, is because we've done so much travel. So every time we've traveled, we've had opportunities to do things that are just brand new and unique.
And we'll each choose activities and things to do while we're away and while we're on holidays. And
that's fantastic.
And the other person comes along with them too. Yeah. And it is really sexy to see your partner in their element too. Like, when you're in your element doing your thing, it's really sexy to see you like that. So.
There's that look again.
Katia, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us and telling us a little bit about the brain and our bodies and how we can turn each other on more.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I've loved every minute of it. Thank you. And it's been such a pleasure to watch you both.
Thank you.
You're the embodiment of what you do, and it's beautiful.
Oh, great. That's such nice feedback. But to say thank you, we've given access to a school uniform to a child in Cambodia. And the great thing about this is that education's free in Cambodia, but the family needs to provide the school uniform. And often they can't, or things that lower on the hierarchy of needs, things like food and water and shelter, become more important. So they end up selling that uniform. So giving this access is really important, and it unlocks a really big ripple effect. So thank you so much for making that possible.
That is so beautiful. I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. That's amazing.
No worries. So Katia, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about what you do, how should they do that?
So they can jump onto lovedestination.com and they can use a code. There's lots of free content on there, or they can ask an expert if they want to ask a love, dating, relationship expert. But they can also use the code LOVE30. Some of the courses or workbooks are locked, but if they use the code LOVE30, then they can get free access for 30 days, so they can watch what they want to watch, download what they want to download.
Thank you. That's really generous.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.